Welcome to the Simply Be Found Huddle. Today we have Naomi with us, and we also have Dean and myself. We're going to just have a conversation about business and marketing. Naomi, you are a LinkedIn expert as far as doing a lot of stuff. Can you explain what that means to a small business and kind of what it is you do in your background?
Yeah, so I write people's LinkedIn profiles as the core of my business. I've been doing that now for 10 years, following selling LinkedIn training for 2 years, where I was doing LinkedIn profile reviews for people. So I've been reviewing them for 12 years now. And in the 2 years that I was just reviewing, I discovered that people were too close to their own topic. They weren't wordsmiths, and they just couldn't look objectively at what they were saying on their LinkedIn profile. So I was giving them all of this advice on what to do, but when it came to it, they couldn't actually implement it. And after 2 years, with some changes in the work I was previously doing, I just started to say to people, "Do you want me just to write that for you?" And they said yes. And that's how I got into writing LinkedIn profiles. I think I was very much the first company to start writing LinkedIn profiles as a core service. And then I wrote the first book on it, What to Put on Your LinkedIn Profile, which I discontinued and put most of the advice on the website in the end. But yeah, so that's been 10 years now. And basically it's learning from people what they do, how they do it, and really working out from their audience point of view what's going to grab their attention, what's going to make them read this profile, and then getting that to segue into their sales funnel so they actually get new leads coming in, and it positions them as an authority in their industry.
Awesome. Is there any specific industries that you work in more than others?
Not industries. What's interesting as well, one of the things I say a lot actually is that niching changed about 12 years ago. It used to be we niche into an industry because that's all we could do, but social media kind of changed the game, and now we actually niche into a problem that we solve. So I solve the problem of working. My thing I really work with is people who have topics that are hard to describe and impossible to Google. So their prospects aren't looking for them. They probably don't know that they have a problem to need solving. They're just dealing with their everyday life, going, "Oh gosh, this could. I wish this could be better." And it's not until they actually hear your message and go, "Oh my goodness, we're experiencing that. Can you solve it for us?" that you would actually come on their radar, and actually they would want to work with you. So you could stand up at networking events, say what you do, and it'll go straight over their heads. And you know that half the room actually need you. So I work with people that have topics that are hard to Google and impossible to describe. Um, and that can be from any industry, because and
Yeah.
I've worked with a huge number of industries and actually got to know them at a really in-depth level, actually, which has been really fun. Because it's applying the principles to how you get your message out there and stand out as the authority in your industry.
So Naomi, do you spend more time with just the personal profiles, or do you talk to them about the personal profile in relationship to their business profile? I mean, you can have both out there.
Mhm.
What is it that you think is,
Yeah.
what do you
So
think is more important for? I
it's
mean,
most certainly like 99% it's your personal profile. Your company profile, if you had a huge number of employees like Microsoft or Apple or something like that, the company page comes more into play. It's about the products. But even those two companies are still led by the CEO. You know who the CEO is of that company. With any company, people buy people, they don't buy products. They love to buy the people, and they love to buy the story, and they like to see the person behind the business. If they just want the product and the business, they're going to go to the website. If they're on LinkedIn, they want to hear from you. So it's very much about the person. It's very much about your personal profile and getting that to speak in your own voice and pitch what it is you do and why you do it. Now, obviously, there are the company pages on LinkedIn where that comes in. Um, what I would say to anybody with that is go make a company page, because that's how you're going to get your logo onto your profile. And what
right.
you don't want is a profile covered in the grey boxes that try to look like skyscrapers. You want to get your company logo on there. So you have to start up a company page to do that. And you want to fill in all the information as well. You want to use the form and everything else that is gone there to its best advantage, because again, that's a way that you can get found. And then you can also post your content onto your company page as well. So if someone did click on it, they could actually do a deep dive into all of your content and see what you're up to as well. But really, you don't want to as a small business, you don't really want to be commenting and doing a lot with the page. You really want to focus on your individuals and their story.
Gotcha. So we have a lot of our members. We call the people that use our services members because that's how we treat them. But we have a lot of people that are serial entrepreneurs, or they own multiple businesses, and they might be as well. They may own like 4 or 5 different businesses. How would you tell them to approach that? I mean, because you have a certain for this business, you have a certain attitude. For this business, it might be a little different.
Yeah.
How would you tell them to approach that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I work with a lot of people like that because I work with a lot of private investors that come in and flip businesses, and are looking for people wanting to sell businesses. So I've got a lot of experience with that. The main thing to understand is that each business has employees that are out there working on that business, and you've got other lead generation that's going on for that business. So if all that's working, you would leave, obviously the lead generation and the marketing activities are there separate. And then you might choose one person in the company who really wants to champion the company and use their profile for it. But you as the business owner, you don't need to do that because you're not trying to sell that product. You're saying, hey, I'm a serial entrepreneur and I own these businesses. And then you've got to think about what is your objective next. So you own 5 businesses from 5 different industries. What do you want to do next? What is it? Is there a particular industry you want to go into? Or is there you're just interested in businesses in distress that you want to flip and change? Or are you looking to 10x roll up, all that different stuff? So whatever your objective is what you would write about in your about section. Hey, this is who I am. This is what the problem that I solve with, buying businesses and being a serial entrepreneur and starting up different ones. This is the kind of thing I'm interested in hearing about from you. Like, do you know what I mean? So you would, it's about the individual and it's about what you're trying to achieve and the problem you're solving. And why should anybody care? Why should anybody care that you're solving that problem? Well, because I have that problem and I'd like you to solve it. So people can quickly see in the about section why they should have this conversation with you and why you would be great in their network or how you could work on a deal together. And then in the experience section, what we're doing in there is we would put the companies in and we wouldn't put the description of the company, what your key person of influence you've decided inside your company would do. What they would talk about the product and how you can get involved in the product and what working with you would be like. What you would do is think, right, if that's my objective and that's what I want for my life now, I want new opportunities into this and that, and I am qualified and I am credible to do that, and I need a complete stranger to get that straight away. What we would then do is we would take the experience entries on the profile and we would tell the story. How did I come to this? What was it about this industry that interested me and what did I achieve with it? So I took on a business that was turning over $100,000 and it had 10 employees and it was in distress. I then turned it around and spotted new opportunities in the industry. It was during 2008 in the crash, or it was during COVID, or some kind of pressures and different things. So you're telling the story about how you optimize and transform that business and created a result, because that's what you want people to see is I create this result. And sometimes that experience isn't necessarily read. But when somebody comes to your LinkedIn profile, they do a scan from top to bottom straight away. So firstly, your headline, your banner, is it customized? Is it smart? There's a brand image there. If it's too cluttered or whatever, it just needs to sum you up visually. Then you've got very limited space in the headline. And you've got to think, like, if I see you at a networking event and I look across the room and I see you, do you look like an attractive person to come and talk to, like friendly and welcoming? That's your photo. I come over and I say, what's your name? And you tell me that's the name on the LinkedIn profile. I ask you, what do you do? And you give me a 7-second reply that is going to get my attention. And the headline, the first 47 characters are the most important, because when you connect with someone, comment on somebody's post, put a post of your own, or you appear in more profiles for you on the right-hand side, I'm going to see the first 47 characters. And those 47 characters need your keyword in it. So I go, ooh, that's something I'm going to click on. So we really want to make this impression really, really quickly. And then the about section is where we get to talk for a minute or two, like 90 seconds without interruption, and where we're telling someone why we do what we do. Now, where I was going with that was that all of that needs to be in place so we can scan and see it really, really quickly. if it looks like you haven't taken time with this and you're not actually starting a conversation with me, you're just talking at me, reporting about what you do, I'm not going to be interested. And if I see the experience is just like this, something a recruiter would want to read, I'm not going to read it either, because only recruiters can translate a CV. And it is translating because the language isn't easy to read. I can't draw lessons from it or parallels from it. And so it needs to be attractive and something that people want to look at and actually read. But what's also interesting that happens here as well is your hidden decision makers. And these are the people that are involved in your business deal that you don't know are there. So I might meet you at a networking event and we go, right, let's do some business together. This is going to be fantastic. But you've probably got partners, you've probably got business partners, you've probably got grown-up children, parents that are still in the business game, cousins, brothers, sisters, college friends, and they care about you. And if you say, I'm going to do this business deal with this person, or this person's going to buy my business, they're going to go, who? What? Why? They can be scared for you. Or if you say, I'm going to put 10 grand into like a new website and automation process, they're going to go, well, who is this person? I've got a mate that can do that for you for a lot cheaper. Not realizing the two solutions are actually completely different. So when that person, that hidden decision maker, the person who's influencing your decision maker, gets curious about you and they Google you, your LinkedIn profile will come up and it will be part of the marketing mix, and they will read that experience because they're trying to figure out why they should tell their friend not to do this to protect them. And if they can be convinced through what they're reading, they're going to go, yeah, I'm totally down with this. This guy's amazing.
So go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
So from our perspective on the whole LinkedIn piece, for one, we have a social media suite that we built that can post out to LinkedIn and do daily posts and all that different stuff, or whatever you want to post out. For us personally, we do a ton of video on LinkedIn, which I don't know if is good or bad inside of there. But before we were having this conversation, I did a deep dive into the data side and looked at it from a data analyst piece for LinkedIn, and I found some things that were really interesting. So we deal with the business registration with the listings engine and being able to put everything on voice search, AI search, and getting all your business details all the way there. So I look at what data points are pulling from what spots. Cortana, ChatGPT, Gemini are all pulling different points from the LinkedIn profile to be able to build their entire database. So I started to kind of dive into that a little bit deeper to see how they're pulling and what those relationships are. And I was really kind of amazed about, for one, I'm always interested on where all this information comes from, of how it's answering questions and doing all that stuff, especially on the voice and the AI side. Have you dived into that at all? Because I know you mentioned Google inside of your piece, that it'll pop up. I mean, that's your search piece in there. But have you looked beyond Google by any chance?
No, I haven't. I mean, Google is somewhere when someone doesn't know you and they have no connection to you, they're going to come and Google your name, right? And it's all the things that come up on the front page about you is what's most important. The main thing I focus on is the relationship that people are building with you through the profile. How do they feel like they've made a friend? Do they feel like they can see, you're a credible person? Would they like to do business with you? And to be honest with you, especially with ChatGPT now, what we've created is people that scan read. And I scan read crazily enough that I actually have coined the term, I have AI whiplash, because I literally have read so fast, my brain has processed so much, I actually can't do anymore. And because of that, we are scan reading really, really quickly. So if we scan read something, we see lots of big words that you might find in a textbook or a CV, you're going to switch off. If you read at the beginning of an about section or a headline, and it's just like, I can just see, that's a big load of words, I'm not going to read it. What we're looking for is words that are relational, that sound conversational. A client of mine showed me a proposal that she had put together on the screen. And she was flicking through and she was showing me the pricing, and she was, and this is my about section, and then went on to the next page. I went, sorry, can you just go back to that? She went back to the about section, and I went, oh gosh, that won't do. And she's like, what do you mean it won't do? I literally just put it on the screen. I said, yeah, I know, but I'm looking at that. I literally one glance at that, and I know that you're using generic terms. You're literally using all the keywords you'd use in accounting that I'd expect to see. There's nothing enticing on you coming through here, because in one glance, I can see those words. And that's where so many people are getting to now, because their brain is having to go so fast to process all this information. And what I did for her was I went back through everything that she had told me with the LinkedIn profile, and I built out all of her experiences and stuff. And when you look at it now, you can see quickly, like, this percentage of increase in revenue transformed this, very different words. Instead of like accounting, tax, and I do such and such, which you'd expect, it was transformation, increase, production, budgeting. It was everything that was different. And you just one glance, you're going to read something interesting. And that's where it's most interesting. And that's, I think, even though there are all these abilities to do what you're saying, Robert, I think it's a case of knock yourself out with it and tell me what you find. But I'm going to stay on the relationship side, because that's who we're appealing to at the end of the day. We do business with one another. So yeah, keep me informed of what you come up with.
Yeah.
What we have.
Oh, go ahead.
So what we have inside of there is how people are finding that data. So what I found inside of that data is looking for, so everything inside of the world is search. It doesn't matter if they're using Google, if they're using Bing, if they're using ChatGPT, if they're using voice search like Siri or whatever search engine they're using. Those search engines have gotten so overwhelmed with generic, non-natural sounding things from AI. So it used to be back. So if we go back in time, you've been doing this a long time, so have I. If we go back 20 years, we would have said content was king. That was true up until probably 2 years ago. And then content started getting this whole entire thing because everybody got access to these all these AIs, and they could mass produce amounts of content.
Yeah.
So that content became it loves the keyword stuff. It loves to just use that same. It doesn't sound natural. So when you take that profile from a data aspect, you make it to where it is very natural sounding, like what you're doing. You're actually giving yourself non-spam signals to those search engines, which then makes it useful information. So in the world of search, people used to go search somebody's name to be able to find out information about them. I come from a venture capital background, so I've bought and sold businesses. I know everybody that you're working with inside of that whole world and how their mindsets are. Well, now when people do that search to investigate somebody, they're going to ChatGPT and they're doing that investigation. ChatGPT will actually scan that LinkedIn if it doesn't have a huge spam score.
Yeah.
So you're doing all the right things as far as that goes, from what I could tell in that data study, because you're using that natural language.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing thing. It's why when I'm talking for doing posts inside of LinkedIn or anything in there for being able to create it, one of the best ways you can get out of your shell is you start with a video first, take the transcript, then use AI, because now it knows your language, and now you can build on that because you can get lots of content from that.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, that whole strategy, and it's one of those things that's an amazing piece inside of there. So that's really intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Now, from our background, I've used LinkedIn a little bit. I've kind of let LinkedIn kind of go wayside, and I don't practice what I preach on the LinkedIn side as much as I should do. Dean, you've always been kind of against LinkedIn because you think it is just a big spam
social media in general because of my age group.
Yeah, and everybody wants to sell you something. So, I mean, I don't even know where I was going to go with that. Dean, what question were you going to ask?
Naomi, you're talking about all the information about us and that thing. Do you find a certain language, third person, first person, which one gets the better results? I mean, if we were to tell people to write, to me, it's more about instead of telling you what I do for you, what my philosophies are, which is the better approach. And maybe it depends on the industry.
Yeah, so it's always first person because you're trying to build a relationship. So if I came up to a networking event, you spoke to me in the third person, I think you're really weird. And it's exactly the same. So it's a relationship that we're having. And then you've always got to think what you're writing. How is this relevant to the person reading this? How is this relevant to their day? Because they're asking, is this a good use of my time? Why am I reading this? And they will swipe away in an instant. So if visually looks like you haven't put any time into it, they're gone. If it's not formatted nicely, it's gone. If you have too many, because you can only see 2 lines of the experience anyway. If that looks straight up like a CV using big words and whatever, I'm gone. And then, what is going to jump out at me is obviously the banner at the top and your featured content and your activity. And now, unfortunately, they've really sunk the about section down. But if I get a good impression overall, I'm going to look for that about section and I'm going to click on see more and I'm going to see it all. And it's here that we really want to have that conversation. And again, scan reading. So we want short sentences. We want a lot of white space. Not too many emojis. This isn't a post. You are a professional business person who doesn't actually speak in emojis. But what we want to do at the beginning is we want to talk about the problem that we solve. We need to frame the problem so people see themselves in it and go, oh, that's useful. That's interesting. And what's interesting is that they're going, well, I didn't know that before. But it plants something in their mind, a little seed that they go, well, I didn't know that. That's interesting, but I'm not in that industry, so I won't read anymore. Bye. Which is fine, because when they go out and they're networking and they're talking to people and someone mentions one of the words inside of there, like one of the problems, one of the triggers, they go, well, you see, yes. And they'll actually repeat what they've read that you said. So then they become a referral to you. So even if they don't remember your name to say you've got to check this guy out, they will remember what you said. And when they say that to somebody else, their radar goes on. Like if I told you about a brand new car that was out in the market that you've never seen before, and you go, oh, I've never seen that before. Then you go out, you see it everywhere, right?
Right.
But I might not remember the name. I might just say it looks like a tank or something. And you start seeing it everywhere. It's exactly the same on LinkedIn, because I'm connected to you that I saw your profile in the first place. I'm connected to you because we went out networking. So wouldn't it be logical that, did I connect with you? Did I not connect with you? But we are in second degree. So if the radar comes on in the brain to say, I'm looking for such and such because this person's just referred you, there's a very high chance your profile is coming up. And then they'll go, oh, that's what I was told about the other day. And they'll be in. So there's a lot of value in framing that opening to go, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Or that's really interesting. This need is really profound. And then going into qualifying why you're the expert at it, how you help, what you believe about it, why you think this is important, to really draw people into your world. Lots of I statements, I believe, I've seen firsthand in my experience. And then bring it round to the call to action of what you want them to do in terms of joining your sales funnel. Ideally a diagnostic or something. The worst thing I've seen happen in modern day, I've been doing it for 12 years, is people thinking that the about section is a landing page and writing sales copy. So are you struggling with such and such? No, I'm not. Do you find such and such? No, I'm not. I'm gone. I don't care. I don't want to know, because I don't want to be sold to, because my answer is no. If I'd come to your web page, you would have done certain things that would have got me to your web page, which would make me say yes, because you've qualified me as a lead that would be interested by this point. So I'm like, yes, 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 I want to buy from you. That's why a landing page, we're taught to write questions like that. But on LinkedIn, you're talking to such a wide audience of people that maybe have just stumbled across you, maybe met in person, and their answer to you is very, very likely to be no. 98% of people are going to answer that question no, because they haven't gone through the qualifying stages of getting to a landing page. So if the answer is no, I'm like, well, I've got no conversation with you, because I don't want to be sold to, and I don't want what you're offering, and I can't refer you because I just don't want it. I just don't want this conversation today. There's no relationship here. So avoiding that is really, really important. You've got to think about rapport. You've got to think about getting stuck in a corner with somebody at a LinkedIn, a networking event, and you got 2 minutes and they're talking to you. You wouldn't say things like that. You wouldn't assume stuff like that. And if they did, you'd be mighty pissed off with them and want to leave.
I've never looked at the LinkedIn profile that way.
I haven't either.
In 30 years of marketing, LinkedIn's been there for quite some time, and that whole piece, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's all about relationship. It's all about replicating the relationship. And, the crazy thing is, I'll tell you this story. It's an old story, but it still stands true. When I started my business, I was new in this city by 2 years, or less than 2 years. I think it was like a year. Once I got here, I came to the city, and I drove over to the next city. And I went to a networking event one breakfast morning, like really early. And I met lots of people there, took lots of business cards, connected with everybody on LinkedIn. And it was about 4 months later, I decided to return to this networking event. And I was getting a drink, and this person then comes up to me, this young guy comes up to me, and he says, Naomi. He remembers my name. Oh, how's LinkedIn business going? I'm like, oh, yeah, good, thanks. How are you doing? How's this going? Yeah, good, yeah. He goes, something or other. And he makes starts this comment. I go, do you know, it's really funny you say that, actually, because yesterday or 2 days ago, this thing happened and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, yeah. And he finished my story for me. And I'm like, what? He goes, no, you wrote a status update about it yesterday. I read it. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so he was obviously seeing what I was writing on LinkedIn. But the thing that was really profound about it was, in that 4 months, I'd not seen him again. I'd met him for 2 hours in a room of 50 people 4 months before. And here we were 4 months later, back in the same room with 50 people. He remembered my name, he knew what I did, and he felt the camaraderie with me. He could come and joke with me. And that is the power of LinkedIn.
It's an absolute crazy piece for that.
We're constantly reminding people, hey, I'm here, this is what I do, and positioning yourself as the expert, they'll refer.
I had somebody once swim up to me inside, this was last year, swim up to me inside of Vegas in a swimming pool and go, you're the guy from YouTube. And start talking about videos I didn't even remember doing.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
And I'm like, I don't know if I feel kind of good about this. I also feel kind of awkward, and I feel kind of all over the place. It's kind of, people follow different things, and that's where everything kind of connects in. And it fits into the three pillars of marketing: content, authority, and trust. Well, by continuously posting inside of LinkedIn, by continuously putting that content out, you're accomplishing all three of those pieces. And then it dives into that data side inside of there. Yeah. If you're working, we have a lot of home service businesses. If you're working with a home service business, plumbers, roofers, that type of thing, what advice do you have for them? Can they use the LinkedIn profile to be able to generate more leads, in your opinion?
Yes and no. So, of course, you've always got your local network. They're probably part of BNI, which, of course, you have as well because it's international. LinkedIn is global. And you're going to, and therefore also national, which means you could end up connecting with people that are just way out of your sphere. They can never work with you because geographically you are bound. Right. If you were opening up like different branches in different areas, that would be incredible, because you would just be able to tap into so many networks and make a new city work straight away. It's good in that you want a clean profile. You want to say what you do, because you are going to meet people at networking events and you are going to connect with them and they are going to refer you. So the referrals from those physical meetings, just like the story I said there, it can really keep you front of mind. And also your post can build that trust and authority that this is someone who's really worth recommending. And then also for different scenarios as well, there might be some scenarios and things that you solve that your customers actually don't realize, like it's not until such and such happens. You go, well, I can do that. I can fix that too. And they don't know, right? So you can't get any referrals for that because the general population don't know that a plumber does it or that you do it. So that kind of thing, putting up a post is really, really worthwhile. So yeah, authority piece, different services they might not be aware of, how problems get solved. This is all great content. And if they're focusing on connecting with people locally, it will work. But it's not something that you'd put a huge amount of weight into, I think, because people still, word of mouth and Google is the thing. You just want to look the part when someone does come to your LinkedIn profile and see what you do.
So I have a question for you. You talked about the geographical limitations. And I know people that are out there, they're just saying, oh, I want to connect with you. I want to connect with you. Is that a good approach to just connect to lots of people, or would it be better to strategize when saying people, if your business is more geographically inclined, but, trying to get those first degree, second degree, third degree connections? I know people just, the million, there's a book out there, getting 1 million followers kind of thing. Is that what you really want to do? Is that a good strategy for LinkedIn?
No, it's really not. If you're geographically bound, you want to connect with everybody you meet physically because you know that they're in the geographical area. And then you'll find out about other events, exhibitions, conferences, networking events that you can go along to, and you can start meeting more and more people. And like I said, staying front of mind. So geographically, that's great. One of the issues you have, and Gary Vaynerchuk has really started saying this now, is that he might have 3 million followers, but he said if they were going to buy from me, they would have bought from me now. So now it's about information and sharing other things with them to get the new people involved. When I started out, I built a very good business just on 2,000 connections because it was very tight. And I could do it again. Okay, I could do the same thing again. It's not about the number of followers, it's about the amount of business you get. So I'm more interested in how much work you're doing and how much money you're making than I am in the number of followers that you have, because it's all about connection. It's all about conversion. That's actually most important. Now, I've been on LinkedIn since, I don't know, like 2006, 7 maybe. And in that, and you know, in 2015, when I started my business, I had 2,000 connections, and I'm just about to hit 7,000. Now, I had a bit of a time off there where I wasn't actively doing it much. Well, I was, but I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? So I was working with lots of clients, but I wasn't necessarily pushing myself out there. What's happened for me is that those thousands, as they've grown, they've actually become dormant. So LinkedIn will share your post with your most recent contacts for 2 weeks. And after that, they may or may not see your content if they haven't rang the bell or said, I'm following this person. So now if I want my post to go up, I have to increase my connections because my impressions are really low. And as my connections are going up, my impressions are going up because I've got more people to actually see it, because of the dormant nature of the number of the number of followers you have. So often the number of followers you have doesn't relate to conversion, and often a huge number of them have gone dormant anyway. So it's just a statistic at that point. And we have to so where I'd rather not just keep adding people, I actually have to keep adding people. My numbers, I could offload some people, I suppose, because it has gone dormant and I need to reinvigorate it. Yeah, so you can look at someone like Richard Vanderbloom, who's incredible with what he does on LinkedIn. He gets, I don't know, like 1,000 likes within an hour, but that's proportionate to the 300,000 people he's connected to, and he's only been going about 5 years. So there hasn't been a lot of dormant stuff going on in there. But even then, out of that many people, they're still dormant because there's 300,000 and 1,000 people commenting or liking it. So do you see what I mean? So it's a vanity number. The most important thing to concentrate is, am I getting leads? Am I getting conversions?
So on LinkedIn, then, if your interaction to the posts that if you're not doing interactions to other people, that hurts you as well with some of the visibility. Is that what you're saying by dormancy a little bit? I mean, does that make it? Is that a question? Does that make sense to you, Rob? You're giving me the look like.
For the dormancy, for what I heard there was if you are not doing it for yourself. Not really if you're doing it with other people, but it's if people are interacting with you, because the algorithm's looking at it. So from an algorithmic standpoint for the LinkedIn piece, it's looking at it and trying to think, are you going to be able to deliver the best result? Because inside of it, doesn't matter if you're which algorithm you're talking about for search, LinkedIn would be the same. It wants to deliver the best result because its end goal is to keep as many people inside of its platform for as long as it can, because they can sell ad revenue for that time period that they're there. So it's not really, from what I heard from you, Naomi, and tell me if I'm wrong, what I heard is it's about being consistent, posting out as yourself, and keeping yourself active so you don't go dormant. Did I hear you correct?
Yeah, so it is all of those things, because LinkedIn rewards you being consistent. They reward the number of interactions that you get on posts, and they reward reposts and your content being saved. That all signals to LinkedIn that you are publishing really good stuff, and then they boost your content. However, where the question we came in at that is does the number of followers actually matter? And that's where, if you haven't engaged with those people, or you've gone dormant for a time, or they've just not engaged with you, they're not going to get your content in the feed anyway. So how is it I'm connected with 7,000 people, but only 150 people saw my post today? Because LinkedIn has is only giving it to the most recent people I've connected with and or have most recently engaged with me. It's not going to give my one post to 7,000 people. It's making a choice as to who it's going to show. So there is a dormancy in my followers. Like I have 7,000 followers, but actually I would say maybe 5,000 of them are dormant and never see me, never see my content. And I also don't see 7,000 people's content either. Do you know what I mean?
You don't want to see 7,000 people's content.
I don't have enough time today, that's for sure. So
yeah, and then sometimes I think, I would like to see some people that I haven't been around for a long time, but then I've just seen this person's content, and then 5 more posts, I get someone else their next post, and actually I do want to know that because I'm just starting. This person's just come up in my feed, and I'm interested, and yeah, so it's an interesting one, but LinkedIn definitely like rewards consistency. You definitely want to be doing that. But the other thing I would also say is that you can do an awful lot with commenting as well. So I teach on my mini course that I have, which is a 45-minute free online course that anyone can come and take at any time. I teach 2 strategies, and one is posting and one is commenting. The commenting one is great for people who haven't got the confidence, aren't sure what to post yet, or just don't think they could do anything consistently with posting. And there's a whole imposter syndrome thing that can go on with posting, right? Or just not sure what your message is enough yet. But the commenting one, if you just come along every day and say, right, I'm going to comment on 10 people's stuff, and you actually comment with thought leadership, will actually get you opportunities. So I have a client at the moment who isn't confident at the moment to put a lot of stuff out. We've got his profile looking fantastic, but where his content sits and his message, along with his counseling practice, along with his degree, along with his young family, it ain't happening. But what's happening is that he can make a comment or two, and he'll make 10 comments a day, and he's got offers to partner. He's got offers to do a joint venture event. He's got partner, old colleagues of him are referring people to him, so it's working. And the key thing with comments is that you don't just say, oh, that's great, oh, congratulations. You have to find something inside of what they've said to have a conversation about. So yesterday I was teaching a one-to-one client, and I said, right, look at this. This person's talking about digitalization in manufacturing. It's very open manufacturing digitalization. She's a fractional financial director inside a manufacturing industry, independent, looking for new contracts. She's about 5 weeks in, and we put a profile together for it. So I was like, right, let's comment on this one. And we went, digitalization is so important, because if you haven't got the right numbers, especially around finance, because if you haven't got the right numbers, you haven't got the right data to make decisions on. As a fractional financial director, I've seen and what you're saying is so important. So we've written a thought leadership piece. We're really saying something proper. We are telling LinkedIn that we give proper content and comments. We've picked up on something within the post that's useful, and we fed back, I am listening, and this is a conversation about what you've said. And I've just seeded in what I do in my perspective. Whereas somebody else would come along and they would give a different perspective altogether, because they're in a different industry. And so there's a number of ways, and that's led to her getting that liked, and a few other nice little opportunities have just come out of it, like after one day. So commenting can do absolutely. All right, Robert.
I'm good. I'm just knocking my microphone over, grabbing my expo marker since I dropped one.
His toy, he keeps his hands busy with that thing, and he dropped it. I know what he did.
I actually have some magnets here that are really fun to play with, but they get really noisy.
See, that's what's nice about the expo marker, because I see that I drop it. I've been waiting since my mic's on this side. I've been waiting to accidentally hit it and do that at least once. So there we go.
It's like a bingo list. Every episode we have like a bingo. Did we do it? Did we do it? I got a line. Mistakes I did.
So Naomi, I want to ask you a question. You talked about consistency of posting, and we've seen on some of the other social networks that they may not be able to post the 3 to 5 times that we kind of recommend. I think I read that in one of your in your profile that you recommend posting 3 to 5 times. If you can't, or as a business person, is it more important to post every Monday? I mean, does the algorithm for LinkedIn? Do you know, say, oh, every Monday you're going to put something out there and you get in the habit of doing that? Does it give you a priority that way? Because I've seen that on some of the other social networks that the day and the time that you post is important. What's your thought on that?
It's really thinking about your audience. My audience will be on LinkedIn around 9 to 12 a.m. Whereas people who are fully employed in jobs are probably in meetings at that time. So they probably enjoy something on route to work at 7:30. So you do have to think about it like that. In terms of the day of the week, a lot of the statistics coming out on what time is most popular and things like that, they are generally generated like by Buffer and other things. And so they're not actually as accurate as they could be. So it is about knowing your audience. And I think for you as a person, LinkedIn does reward that consistency, because if you did it on a Monday and then you did it on a Thursday and then you did it on a Tuesday, those are actually kind of big day gaps. That's 10 days and then it's 3 days, but to you it's once a week. I think if you can choose your regular spot, LinkedIn will like that.
From the data I have on that, I agree. So inside of our social media suite, we can see best time to post and do all that, just like Buffer or Hootsuite or any of those inside of there. We compete hand in hand with them. But those algorithms, they try to combine it together. So when you pull that data in, most of them pull that data in from, they don't just say this is LinkedIn, this is Facebook, this is this. They combine all that data, and then they also pull outside data. And I think everybody's network is a little bit different. So I think just having your own and using common sense inside of there is going to be the better way of going because of that reason. That's kind of why we don't really make that a big focus inside of the social media suite, for that reason. But I've really pushed people, and this is going to be my question for you, Naomi, to kind of dive into that. For consistency, I say, okay, if you are a home service provider, so you're a roofer or plumber, whatever, inside of there, and you are going to be posting out, you might as well, if you're going to post to Facebook, you might as well post to LinkedIn. You might as well post to all the networks at the same time to get the most value. Yeah. Do you agree with that statement? I know it's better to make it unique for each of the networks, but if they don't have time for it and they just want to blanket it out there, do you think it hurts them at all? And what's your opinion?
I don't think it hurts them at all. It's leveraging the content that you've got. I think that sometimes the content you might put on Instagram, and especially TikTok, you might want to rethink it for LinkedIn, but then you put way more content on TikTok and Instagram than you do LinkedIn. So you just have to choose your most LinkedIn appropriate content, one that's going to be more professional, B2B. Unless you want to give people a good laugh, and they appreciate that too. So, I think it's just choosing your best for LinkedIn, because you do post a lot less in a week than the other ones. But you know what, Robert? I'd love to throw this back on you, because you have said a number of really interesting things. You've got this platform with all these insights, which is really intriguing. And I'm sitting here going, well, did I not do my research on Robert before I came here? How did I not know this? And so I've looked back on your LinkedIn profile, and it's just not here.
It's not there. I looked at it this morning. I haven't touched it in I changed my picture yesterday. As I was playing around with it, I still don't like my picture, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I don't like it either. Can I give you a quick LinkedIn profile review?
Go for it.
I really appreciate that. And I'm a bit of a roaster. Well, not a roaster, but someone said to me recently that I just tore it to pieces. But anyway, it's all positive for helping you.
Yeah, you can be as mean as you want, because I can handle it. I've been called worse.
Good. I'm very direct. Right. Okay. So if I was standing at a networking event and there were lots of obstacles in the way, like chairs, tables, dividers in the room and stuff, I would think that you were standing the other side of a divider to me right now, because I'm looking through a little gap in order to see you, because you've got this big black thing around your photo. You're too far away from me and I can't really make out the features. And just like in COVID, when someone stood 2 meters away from you, it felt really awkward. If the crop on your photo is too wide, is it that awkward? Again, I want to step closer. So a relationship is built at the distance of which you speak. So crop the photo so that it feels like I'm actually talking to you. I'm laughing away in mine, which isn't great, but there we go. I'm getting a new one next week. It wasn't the greatest photo shoot. It's what I could really work with. So then the next thing is we go co-founder of Simply Be Found. co-founder of something small is often irrelevant. If you co-founded Apple, I'd be interested. It's a credible piece, you know, like if it's become something everybody knows. What we really want to do is we want to lead with the problem that we solve, and we want to think about that 47 characters. So the industry that you solve it for, which I'd have to ask you these questions to get that right, actually, so I won't go there. But what is the big problem that you're solving that really benefits? And then if you are in the home services thing, do you do a pipe, and then you could go specializing in home service businesses to get them more leads, something like that. Then we come down to the about section, which is the next thing we would see. You want to really frame the problem in here, and then say, this is exactly what I do as a fourth generation entrepreneur. That's good to know. I have led hundreds of marketing campaigns, developed websites. My mission is that bit's fine. And then what we want to do is we want to get down into the practicalities of what it is you're offering and how it helps. So that's amazing that paragraph does work. It might not work if I got really into it, but you kind of lost me in that I'm a results-driven digital marketing expert, because everybody is. 25 years, okay. It's a lot of like, I don't care. This is not useful to me to read that kind of when you're scanning, because people are ruthless. Because we have to be. We can't stop everybody on the street and dive into their personal lives. So then I come down, and the simply be found on here. This is a podcast, isn't it? Well, it is today. No, it's not. That's not the name of the podcast, is it? Yeah, it's the huddle. So what I would do there, I think, is I would, where you've put in past tense, pioneered innovative local SEO voice and search optimization tools, you want to say, at Simply Be Found, we work with and we help. We do this by local SEO and voice optimization tools because actually most people don't know what that is and why they need it. And where you've opened the conversation up in the about section, and people are going, oh, wow, that's really interesting. That's really new and innovative. I'd like a bit of that. What is that? There's a call to action they can come through, but if they're reading this bit, they need more answers to the questions as to what does this involve, what does it look like, and how do you work with me? So some of the things after you said, this is what I do, no question about it, whatever you've interpreted above, I'm telling you now, this is what I do and this is who I work with. We then want to get down into your packages. What does it look like to work with you? All bells and whistles, the most expensive package, like what, and not in bullet points, in conversation, right? And I go, wow, that sounds really interesting. I really like that. Oh, but I don't know you. And I step away. So then the next bit is, I do a consultation, and we figure it out. We put a whole strategy together so you can implement it yourself if you want to. Oh, that sounds much more doable. Thank you. Oh, I still don't know you. I'm not, push away. So the next thing is, come and have a diagnostic call with me. It's 45 minutes. We'll run through this and you'll walk away with this. No obligation. I'll just tell you what's needed. Now that I can do, and I step in and you tell me how to book. And so that's how you really want to position the company. And then with the podcast, and what you're trying to achieve with the podcast, I would do a different entry. And then why are you qualified to do all of this? That's when we go back through your past history and fill out the story inside of there for all the different bits. And then if you've got some really key call to actions, I'd probably use your features section for that, so things stand out. But that's my top line advice for you.
I like it. Dean, what did you pick up from that? Because I see you really thinking.
I'm just absorbing.
I thought you were either going to have a really brilliant comment back to that, or you were going to say exactly that. So
when you said the photo, the first thing that went in my head is my daughter always goes, "You take the old man selfie."
Do you know what I saw in your face, Dean? I saw, oh gosh, I hope she doesn't go look at my profile.
Oh yeah. Well, so
I don't even know what his looks like.
Well, I just updated. When I was researching a little bit about Naomi and her book a little bit, and I went, I picked up on a couple of things. So I actually changed my about section a little bit a couple days ago or a day ago, and I tried to make it more first person. And whether or not it's good or not, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to digest it a little bit, but don't roast me right now because I'm the old guy in the group and I can't handle that. No.
I like the photo and I like your banner. I like that. It's nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so in my other business, I do graphic art, and I created that infographic kind of thing.
It's nice.
So I have a unique skill set to do a couple things that not everybody has that ability, but because there's a lot of canned stuff out there, and you can tell it's canned, or at least for me in my background, I can. But the big thing is for me is I have a hard time putting myself out there. I mean, talking about, I don't want to just sell my product all the time, but I don't want to be philosophical all the time. I have a lot of my friends or my contacts that I see their stuff. They're putting out words of wisdom, if you will, and not necessarily selling their product. And so I get that to a point, but it doesn't really drive business to us by doing those kinds of things.
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't for them either. I mean, it's having a mixture of content. And I think there is all this reflection and philosophical and it's like there's a place for it. I'd rather do that every 10th post than every post.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's really mixing it up. And people have very short attention spans and they will pigeonhole you really quickly. I have the perfect example of this woman, right? And she was putting out really good content in that I was reading it and liking it. And she was getting lots of likes and stuff. And then time went by and I was like, what does she do? Like, what does she do for business?
Right, exactly.
No, I had no idea. What I knew is that we had started on the same course as each other, and then she disappeared. So we'd met, and then she was busy with her business, but I didn't know what the business was. Then she got divorced. Then there was a cat somewhere that she got. Then there was a camper van, and somehow she didn't have the camper van anymore because obviously you don't keep up enough with people to know it was a 2-week holiday. And I honestly didn't know what she did. And then she was at a conference doing something or exhibiting something. I was like, well, what do you do at the conference? Like, why are you at this? Why are you in Spain at this conference? Well, it sounds amazing. You've gone to Spain and you're at a conference. Yeah. What is it? And what she actually did was videography. Because if you go to her profile, you can then see, she does video, right? But I couldn't tell you what kind of video she specialized in. I couldn't tell you she was exhibiting at this conference. I couldn't tell you if that's what she specialized in, is doing video conferencing as a whole or the testimonials. There was just nothing that I could grab hold of. So for all of her posts and all of her interaction, there was no referral of business coming from me because I didn't see her as an expert because I didn't know what she did.
Right.
And that is where we have very limited time for people and attention. So if you're very clear on the niche that you're in, the problem that you solve, you're delivering value with how-to stuff, thought-provoking stuff, and then you come out with, and I got a new camper van and I've gone off for 2 weeks, that post is going to explode because people love you. They want to care about you and they will really enjoy that. But too much of one and the other can really put people off. And the other one, where I've actually stopped following people or disconnected with them, is where their message is always on point for the topic, but it's always got that call to action of, why haven't you done this yet? Have you sorted this out? Do you mean business? Are you making excuses? If you haven't booked in with me yet, then you're failing. I've only got 3 places left this month. You should be booking with me. And it's like, you're making a good point, I'm with you, and now you're just slapping me down. I'm actually working with a different photographer in a week's time. So I'm not going to buy from you, and I don't need you to yell at me like this. And I stopped following. And sometimes I think they get a big following straight away because they're really being punchy and disruptive and making you think and go, I need to be told. But, I don't need to be told anymore. Like, yeah.
Well, I think I agree with that because, I mean, our whole entire approach is we ended up developing the tools to be able to do the listings engine, which puts your information all the way out to all the different networks. We work with over 800 networks. Then we have the social media suite. We had a third plan, but it got all the way filled up and we're not even offering it now. So we went to 2 plans this week. But what people freak out about the most is our posts and everything is about giving that value side. And if you choose to use our tools, great. If you want to use, our big side is the marketing coach piece, to where we'll coach you, we'll walk you all the way through it. We're not going to do it for you, but if you're looking for it to be done and you want to do it on your own, we'll help you get through it. And I think a lot of people freak out about that because they're so used to people trying to say, well, we've got 3 spots left. It's this whole, what I call carnival pitching.
Yeah, it's not true either. It's all facade. And you're
Well,
absolutely
I know
right.
you have more than 3 spots.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like sitting down for a timeshare and someone going, I'm going to get a deal for you. If I can get a partial yes from you, I'm going to bring my manager over here because he has a special deal for you.
Oh, did you used to do that as a career or something? My goodness, that was well done.
He's good at those kind of pitches, so we're gonna let it go.
He's the one that bought one of those ones. So I mean, hey.
Yeah.
But it's so true, because one of the things I say is the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the paycheck. And in the modern, I've got a diagram that I put together that shows how people make buying decisions. And what wasn't there 10 years ago was self-implementation. When you bring someone to an awareness of a problem now, they will choose, do I need YouTube, read a book? Where am I going to go? I'm going to ask ChatGPT to coach me through it. If any of those things can solve the problem for me, then my problem wasn't big enough. I only want to work with people who say, my problem is so big, I will appreciate every single thing you do for me, and I'm willing to pay for it. Because I could pay someone £300 to paint my bedroom for me, but I could also paint my bedroom for me myself. Do you know what I mean? There was a time when I had a plumber tell me that it would cost £550 for him to come over and disconnect my gas so I could move house, and I couldn't disconnect my gas myself because it was dangerous. Well, me and my flatmate were incensed by this, and he wouldn't pay because he didn't have this conversation and have it explained to him. I can disconnect it myself, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, but apparently it's dangerous, So he resented the 50 quid. And it's exactly the same. If you feel like you can do it yourself, you're going to resent paying for it. So why don't I equip you, help you solve it for yourself, let you carry on. And then when you meet somebody who has a big problem and can't solve it for themselves, I'm going to be the one you recommend.
Later on, when the problem gets too big, they go, hey, this is the resource. All right, I now have enough money in my bank account. I can hire them to take care of this problem.
Yeah, exactly. And they trust you. They're with you. They believe in your methodology. So yeah, that makes a great client.
I mean, I think it's an absolute awesome piece. And is there anything else we want to go over or share inside of this one? Do you have anything else, Naomi?
No, I mean, I could rattle on for days. I probably do.
I could too. I don't have any big questions. Dee, do you have any other questions?
No, I really don't. I really appreciate the information you've shared with me, because I'm 66 years old, so I'm a little older. I'm older than Rob's dad, and everybody goes, "Are you dad and son?" And no, we're not, even though people think we are. But I think that it's not a generational thing. It's really, you can be 18 years old to 80. We have people that are 80 years old. It's really getting your information out there, talking about what you do, being consistent with the information. That's what I'm hearing from the whole takeaway on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I run a LinkedIn surgery, which people can sign up for, and it's different dates and times to fit everybody. And one of the things I do in that is it's a chance for people to come and ask any question. There's no webinar element or teaching element about it, because there's enough of that out there. You need practical solutions for what's going on for you right now. Maybe your posts aren't converting, or maybe whatever the question is, you just want direct feedback. And one of the things I do with that is I say, do you know what? LinkedIn is about relationships. It's about messaging. It's about networking, and it's about sales and a whole heap of other things. And I don't have all the answers. So after I've delivered my answer to your question, I actually open the floor up for everybody else to agree with me, disagree, or add something extra. And 9 times out of 10, someone goes, they go, do you know what? I've been in a similar situation. What I would say is, and they bring all of their experience into it. And age is a wonderful thing, because you probably had so many business interactions, and that rapport building, that trust building, that how to pitch something back and navigate a relationship, that is where the value is. And that's why it's really great to get everyone's opinion on it, because it isn't just about a piece of technology. And it looks like, oh, it's modern day technology and we have to post, but actually the real work is in relationships. It's like that movie that with John Vaughan or James Vaughan, the Google movie. Oh, what's it called? There's a movie.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
I think it's called The Intern. And it's,
yes,
and it's set at Google, and all the young whippersnappers, and then how they were, and that just demonstrates totally those skills will never die away. And all you're doing on LinkedIn is leveraging those skills and using them better. Like, it's supercharging them. But those skills is what actually the younger generation needs.
Well, I think the big thing that the generations that you come from, Dean, my big advice to anybody from that feels like they're non-tech savvy, feels like they just, not sure what to do. You're not really going to mess a lot up. Just get out there and do it, because you're going to be able to learn from that. And there's not, I mean, worst case scenario, you say something you should have said and you make somebody angry, but you're not going to make everybody in this world happy anyway. So
yeah, but then if you make someone angry, you might just win an election and become the president. So
let's not even go there.
it's one of those.
It's being disruptive, isn't it? It gets attention, and you can't please everybody. So yeah,
it's no different than when I'd go in and do all the stuff for the VC stuff. I'd say one thing because it would distract everybody over here to go this direction. It allowed me to do what I was going to do, and it disrupted everything in between. So then you could get stuff done. And there's no such thing as bad press.
So my daughter goes, bad press is better than no press.
Yeah.
So yes, no, maybe, I don't know. I mean,
the point is, you're not gonna mess it up that badly.
No.
And it's all about relationship, it's all about connections, and there's so much. I was lucky to get involved in some stuff that really taught me that interpersonal skill and communication, that without that person teaching me, it's a seminar that I came over to America for, I wouldn't know that. And I wasn't successful until she taught me that, because actually it's about relationship. Everything is. It's not about posting and influencer and trying to pretend you're something you're not,
No, it's being real, because people are looking for real today more than they've ever looked for real.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of fake out there. And I mean, with AI, it's only going to get worse. And
Netflix, we're only going to know about it more.
Exactly.
There's 3 or 4 actual movies, series made about these things, like Inventing Anna, Apple Cider Vinegar, and different ones. I'm just about to watch a documentary this weekend about 2 influencers traveling across America, and they found all the back footage and made a documentary out of it, because I don't know which one did it, but one of them murdered the other one. So what they were putting out there was not what we see on the screen, and what they're showing us is not reality. It's not real.
No, it's not. So, it's kind of like those late night shows. They have the whole entire applause sign, and they teach you how to applause and get excited, do all that stuff. It's not real.
It's not. They are genuinely funny, but I am laughing how you taught me to.
That brings up another question. I'm going to ask this real quick, Naomi. That verification process that's on LinkedIn now, good, bad, indifferent?
I'm indifferent. As somebody was complaining to me about yesterday, it's going via a third party. Who are you? Why am I giving you this information? I was really lucky in verifying, because I just did an MBA at the university. The university they partner with institutions to verify. I clicked the button, the university verified it. Other people have not been so lucky, where they have a name that they're known by, and their passport has a different name on it, and LinkedIn refuses to budge on it has to be what's on your passport. Luckily, I actually managed to bypass that with the university, because that's what they had me on a record as. So if your passport doesn't match, then don't even attempt to do it. I don't really get what the value is. I'm verified, but I don't see any favoritism in my content, in my impressions, or anything like that. If you're famous and someone asks with your name, then get it verified, But if you don't feel comfortable giving your details to a third party, then
well, this guy has a famous name, but he's not the famous guy. So
you're pointing the wrong direction.
Oh, well, on my screen it's this way. Okay, so I got to remember reverse.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's what
guys.
a prediction I have in the next. Microsoft runs really super slow. Microsoft owns LinkedIn, and they've done things outdated, and I don't understand why they haven't done this so far. I really think they could take Bing and LinkedIn and really merge them together, and they'd have an amazing social media network, and tie that into the Cortana piece and how all the data is structured. I'm wondering if this verification piece is a test inside of there, because I've heard talk of that combination happening, but I haven't seen any action for it happening yet.
Yeah.
But that's my 2 cents on the verification piece.
Yeah, see what happens.
I mean, I think it's a good place to test to see if it actually works, if they can use it further. I mean, with them owning a big portion of OpenAI, unless OpenAI sells, it's going to be a really interesting piece on that side. But the most important question, Naomi, is if someone's interested in using your services and wants to learn more and wants to dive into all your courses, how can they find you?
Yeah, so if you're interested in the LinkedIn profile writing for you and helping you structure your business and things, that would be the profile.company. And then I also have a podcast that I'm launching called Magnetize Your Expertise as well, magnetizeyourexpertise.com. And on there, you can take my scorecard, and you can also download a free copy of my book as well, which is called Magnetize Your Expertise on LinkedIn. And it's not so much, it is thoroughly about LinkedIn as a platform, but it's very much about how you're structuring your business and how you're focusing your message and thinking about it rather than the technical side of things.
Perfect.
Great.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a good conversation. I like this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed this very much. So.
Good. Yeah, it's been good fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And I will send you when this gets posted out and all the different details.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.